Hi, I'm Peter, and if you've seen these days a commercial for a washing machine that has built in a sprayer faucet so that you can pre-wash your clothes before they go into the washing machine, I'm going to show you a simple way to attach a sprayer hose to your washing machine as a good substitute for having to spend hundreds of dollars on a new washing machine. And then this way you will have that sprayer hose attached with the adjustable faucet for temperature control, so that if you want to pre-wash your clothes, you just use the sprayer hose. What I'll show you here are some of the tools and materials that we're going to need for this project. To begin with, we're going to have to build our base from what I've selected here is just a 6 by 18 sheet of aluminum that we're going to cut and fold to create the supporting base or mount for the faucet and the hose. As well, just a generic sort of standard sprayer and generic standard sprayer hose as well. And all the materials that you're seeing here can all be bought at your local hardware store or your home supply store. None of these materials are hard to get. The one that can't be get at a home supply store I'll mention is this one right here, and this still is not hard to get. I bought this online, and this though is sort of the key component. This is a faucet for a hair salon sink, and you can buy this online under that title, Hair Salon Sink Faucet. The part itself costs about $20, and then shipping another $5 or $6, so it's not that expensive to get. You'll notice it has the 2 supply lines for each temperature of water, and then also the delivery line that's going to go out to our sprayer hose. And as well, this has a detachable clamp base that we're going to use to mount it to the aluminum base that we create. Okay. As well, some of the other hoses and parts that we're going to need. This is a connecting hose that goes from a 1/2 inch to a 3/8 inch line, and this is going to connect to the faucet and then eventually to the hose, the sprayer hose itself. As well, we're going to use some standard washing machine hoses. These are typically already used to supply water to the washing machine. We're going to use these as well for the faucet and the sprayer line. What's going to connect those, we have 2 zinc shutoff connectors here. These are typically used in the garden and for garden hoses, but we're going to use them inside today for each temperature so that we can connect both hot and cold, not only to the sprayer hose that we're adding today, but also maintain the lines to the washing machine. Some of the connectors that we're going to need to assist with that, we need 2 garden hose adapters that go from 3/4 inch to a 1/2 inch in MIP. And we'll need 2 of those to connect the hoses to the faucet lines. As well, we're going to need a compression male reducing adapter that goes from 3/8 in outer diameter to a 1/4 inch MIP. We're going to need this to connect the essentially the one singular hose to the sprayer hose. Some of the tools that we're going to need to do this, just a standard power drill. We're also going to use a 1.5 inch hole saw. That'll drill the hole in the aluminum for our faucet. We're going to need a 1 inch hole saw. That'll drill the hole in the aluminum base for the sprayer handle itself. And as well, a variety of wrenches, pliers, and I'm going to pre-wrap all of the threaded connectors with plumber's tape just to improve our connections. And those are all the materials that you're going to need for today. Okay, now that you've seen the tools and the materials that we're going to be using for this project, the first step that we need to do is build the support base for the faucet. So we're going to take the drill and the hole saws and the aluminum sheet, and we're going to create our base. Now I've pre-measured where I want this to go on the washing machine and the lengths of the sides that we're going to need. There's going to be 1 inch of aluminum that actually fits into the slot on the washing machine. And so I'll need 1 inch at the start and 1 inch at the end to essentially slide in as a secure plate. But then the remaining 16 inches need to be built and folded in such a way as to create a sturdy base. So with the pre-measurements that I've done, I essentially want the top side to be 3 inches out from the washing machine, which would leave then the remaining 2 sides. The side that will be along the washing machine will be about 6 1/8 inches approximately, and then the hypotenuse or the angled side will be about 6 7/8. I have pre-measured all this, and so what you're going to see now is the creation of those sides, as well as, before I do any bending, I'm going to do the measures. I'm going to use a square to make sure I get the measurements right, but also I'm going to cut the holes and I'm going to offset them just a little bit before I do any of the bending. So with that, we're going to start off by using our square to give us the 1 inch on the end. That will remain untouched for purposes of sliding into the washing machine as the support. And I'll do that just so I know not to touch that portion. Okay, I'll mark that off. And the nice thing about the pencil, as opposed to a marker or a pen, is obviously that this will all be easily removed or washed off for the final product. So I want the top side to be 3 inches. So I'm going to measure over 3 inches, and that'll be my top side. Okay. Okay, so that's going to be my top side of the base, of the support base for the faucet and the hose. Now, the hypotenuse side will be next, and that's only going to be about approximately 6 1/7 of an inch. And so, 6 1/2, 7/8 right there. Again, the opposite end needs 1 inch to slide into the washing machine slot. So we'll mark off 1 inch on this end. Now you'll notice I have a second piece of aluminum sitting there. I'm hoping I'm not going to need that, but just in case something were to go wrong while we're making the base, we already have a spare or replacement part that we can use should we need to do so because of error. If we make no errors, then we can simply return it to the store without issue. Okay. And then this third segment, the third side, should be 6 1/8 inch. Measures out very nicely. Okay, so we have our measures made. We just need to drill the holes that will provide a secure spot for both the faucet and the sprayer hose itself. And I will want to have the faucet at the back and the hose itself towards the front. So when I'm using this device at the washing machine, I don't have to pull the hose over the faucet handle. It'll be non-interfering with each other. So we will use the hole saw, the 1 1/2 inch hole saw on the back side. And I want to make sure that I still provide as much room away from the edges to still make it stable and firm. In fact, rather than mark it with the pencil, I'm just going to use a little pressure and make a starting center point right there. That's fine. You can see the dimple that has been made. Now you should always wear safety goggles or some sort of eyewear whenever using drills and saws. And I'll be no different than that. I'll put on protective eye gear. Be best if I had a vise to hold down the aluminum. I do not. So I'm just going to go slow and steady and put a lot of pressure so that I have no movement of the parts other than drilling the hole. And as you can see, it doesn't take much. That's one of the nice things about using a thin piece of aluminum. And it should pop out a little bit here. And we'll get that out later. Not a big concern. I'm going to make a hole for the hose now in the front portion of the base using our 1 inch hole saw. Again, I want to give it some spacing, slightly offset from the faucet itself so that there's enough support to make a firm base and housing, and yet at the same time also keep the faucet and the hose separated enough that they're not interfering with the function of each other. I'll dimple it. And there we go. You can see those parts have been drilled and they come out quite nicely there. Okay. May want to just be careful and check to make sure there's no sharp burrs on there either that might affect the safety for you, or even that might eventually cut into the hoses. Okay, now to bend it again, it would be best if I had, unplug for safety, unplug the drill. It would probably be best if I had a vise to do this. I do not. So I'm going to improvise just a little bit and use the workbench to make my bends. I don't need one for the first inch. Now, at the point where the top side
3-inch bend occurs, I'm just put this right here in my workbench. Make a quick bend there. And also pay attention to be sure that you bend them in the right direction when you make your bends. Okay. The next bend that I will have to make will in a similar direction, and it's at the 6 7/8 inch measure right here. To make it straight. Okay. It's aluminum, it's very easy to work with. I'm going to go back a little bit here. Let me get this a little bit flatter. Okay. And then the last bend I'll need to make, actually coming forward, to get the final inch that will slide into the washing machine slot. Again, this would have been much neater and more precise with a vise. Okay, so there we have it. That will be our base. Try and square up the bends. And there we go. The next stage we'll assemble all the parts at the washing machine in the final stages of putting together our sprayer hose for the washer.
Let's see the red.